Hello there, it is I, earthmanbrick, and we're back again. This time, we talked about how we were going to use a lot of materials and the such like from this book. And I've got some here. We're going to be using a lot of these recycling signs and things. And there's a whole bunch of other ones all here as part of a much larger build. But with many a larger build, it often means that we have other elements that have to come together first. The first being a waste bin, which we made using card. And these are cable ties I found in the wild. You can tell because they're all chewed up to high heaven. Probably been trod on a million times. But after you're done with your cable ties and you find them all dirty and grubby in the street, it's just a case of once you finish washing your dishes, you just pop them in the soapy water afterwards, leave them for about 5 minutes to sanitize, clean them off, dry them in the sun, and bam, they're ready for use. This is what we've done. Yes, Poppy. She's squeaking at me. Might as well bring her up here. There we go. So, here as you can see, we've used the cable ties to make the roof of this thing, and it's got a slight angle to it because what I did was I put on cable ties, cut them on piece by piece. So what I did initially was I cut out the piece of card that I needed, and then I put cable ties at either end, then one in the middle, and then one in the middle of those two parts, and one in the middle of those, and then it was just a case of figuring out the spacing for the others. So I didn't even need to measure, even though it looks pretty precise, which is quite nice. And then a small bit of card around the edge. But in order to get that curvature, what I did was, after they were all glued on, and then just bent it with my bare hands, and then I sandwiched in, it was like a piece of card in between the other two pieces, and then a flat piece. So it maintained that curvature shape. And then I figured out what I was doing for the sides and then the top. And the top here is just cotton swabs, cable ties and cards. So those are the three main components for making a waste bin. And because I wanted to make several of these and have them all relatively similarly looking, I made a casting of this. And the casting block is made with card and Lego pieces, all just thrown together. We then cast it using Oyamaru, and this is what it looks like. There's the instructions there. You merely put a few blocks of the stuff into a cup of recently boiled water. After it's been in there for a minute or two, you then take it out, and it's malleable. You can reshape it and it'll grab any shape you want. And it cools over time. It takes about 5 minutes to cool fully. So yes, you can get this on Amazon pretty cheap. It's very affordable material, and if you screw it up, you can always pop it back in the hot water again, reshape it forever and ever, because it's 100% recyclable, which is great. And so, where was that thing I put? This is what we've ended up with. Here's our casting block mold, and I've just trimmed off the edges because, again, this is 100% recyclable, so you can use these offcuts for future molds. You can see I've just used air drying clay, which is your DAS clay, or whatever cheaper equivalent you can find. DAS clay is really good for shallow molds. If you're trying to do anything deeper, you're going to struggle. Pop it in these molds, and then after about 12 hours of curing, it's ready to just pop out. You can see, captures the details very nicely. So, and the next step is to assemble the pieces. So we use here's the mold here. Just lower the camera ever so slightly. So that's our components there. We've got the sides and the roof. So for the rest of it, we use this piece of card. And what we do is we just, rather than measuring or anything, we just take a score along the edges of these parts. So a bit like that, right along there, and then you just calculate where the fold will be there, score it lightly with a knife or something. I'll just use a cable tie here. So just pop that down. A bit there as well. And we'll give our edge, and you can score it with whatever you like. There we go. That's a rough kind of fold. You can see it's a bit squint because I've not used the proper materials, but then you would just fold that up. That's quite nicely there. And then that serves as the bracket for all the other elements. And it's a good way of doing this on the cheap, because you're upcycling all this cardboard and cable ties. The only bits that you're really paying for are things like the glue and other parts. But what's it like when it's assembled? Well, this is it here. Now I've already preemptively painted this part black because these lids tend to be made out of rubber, so I made sure it was an acrylic, black acrylic, that was relatively shiny, so it would look and resemble that whole rubber surface. And that's it there. And you just give it a base coat of red. And the beauty of this as well is that you don't have to have it closed. You can just add a little lip to the bottom of card, and you can have it half open. So you can have it open fully, or you can have it half closed up like that. So you can reveal some like garbage bags or whatever in the inside. I've not really bothered with that yet. Might do it as a future video. But what's it like when it's done? Well, here's one where it's all painted up. And for the weathering I've used a variety of paints. We've used cheap acrylic, burnt umber and burnt sienna. Burnt sienna for your rust, burnt umber for your muddy, pooey colours. And just regular silver. Nice metallic there for your edges. And you can see the effects there. Looks rather convincing. What's it there? Worn aesthetic. Now you can just dry brush on the silver, but if you want to be neat about it, you can just edge highlight all the edges. And if you really wanted to pop, you would go over with a darker brown first, and then go over with your silver, so it creates more of a contrast. Then the last bit was to add on some of the details, you know, like from the PPE catalogue. But I thought, you know what, I might as well use up some of the extra things that I got from the foregrounds kit. So you've got lots of little signage here, and there's ones for waste management. So I thought that'll be ideal. And I've glued one on here. And then it takes these paints very well afterwards, because it's nice and it's just regular paper. But damn, I think that does a pretty damn good job of simulating what a bin is. And it's done on a shoestring budget as well. And just to put that on, we use PVA glue. So I've got some Citadel PVA here. It's from an eBay job lot that I got. And there's one of the cutout pieces of paper there. It's so simple. Just a little dab of glue. There we go, that's plenty. Smudge it on with your finger. Grab with your finger, stick it on. And just kind of smudge it all over. The good thing is with this, as opposed to your super glue is that you can still move this around until it's right in the exact same spot as the other one. So it's down near there, just a little bit to the left. There we go. And it'll just be a case of, once that dries, hit it with some of these colors. Bam! And there's our waste bins. Done dirt cheap. But that's all I've got for you today, so bye.